It's the unofficial end of summer, but a gorgeous day for football on the Sunday of the Labor Day long weekend. Toronto FC2 hosting the Charlotte Independents. Jordan Hamilton returns to the lineup for TFC2 for the first time since May. He'll be playing alongside Sean Hundle, signed to his first professional contract earlier this week, and Clint Irwin makes his second consecutive start for the Young Reds. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome inside the Ontario Soccer Centre. I'm Matt Nicolantonio, joined by Terry Dunfield for Toronto FC2 and the Charlotte Independents, as Toronto coming in on a 4-game losing streak, having dropped all 4 matches by a single goal, including a tough match 1 week ago against their rivals from Montreal. No Mitch Taintor or Bouba Diop for the Young Reds this afternoon, but they will have the organization's number one keeper again as Clint Irwin takes one more step towards full match fitness, Terry.
Yeah, he probably didn't expect to concede 3 goals in the first half against Montreal. To be honest, he couldn't have done much about them. Most important, I watched his kicking and he showed no signs of that quad injury. Today he'll get more match minutes, and all going well, he should be in contention next week for TFC's MLS fixture via the Chicago Fire.
Ricardo John made an impressive debut last week, scoring a brace in his first USL match against Montreal. Terry, you were very impressed by what you saw from him last week.
Great debut. Just needed the 3 points to go along with it. He led the line well, held the ball up, brought others into play, took both his goals superbly. Both of them were brave headers. Also, I liked how he ran in behind Montreal's back four. That movement created space for himself to get on the ball.
For more on today's match, let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast crew and bring in Chantal Blais.
Thanks, Matt. Yes, Toronto FC2 signed Sean Hundle to a USL contract last Thursday. He's appeared in 24 games and has scored 5 goals so far this season. The timing of the signing may seem odd because there is only 3 games left, but when I asked Jason Bent about it, he said it's planning for the future. You want to lock up a prospect like him after he had such a fantastic season. When I asked Sean about the contract, he said he's very happy and this is something he's dreamt about since he was a little kid. Matt and Terry, back to you.
We've been talking about Sean Hundle's game all year, Terry, and this is a good bit of business for both sides, both the club and the team, to get him locked up to a professional deal.
For sure. He's 100% one for the future and now the present with TFC2. At just 17 years of age, to make an impressive 24 appearances, most of them starts, that's brilliant. There's not many holes in his games. He's a number 9 who can score, hold the ball up, he's good in the air, and defensively he'll set the press off.
Jordan Hamilton has played just 3 games with the USL squad this season. This will be his first with TFC2 since May 11th against Richmond, and his first action overall since August 3rd against Real Salt Lake, because he's been playing a lot of minutes up with the MLS squad, Terry.
Yeah, he comes down from the first team today, and he's been magnificent since coming up there. He has all the ability in the world. It's important that today he's mentally prepared. Greg Vanney, I'm sure he'll be in the stands today, keeping a close eye on him, especially with Giovinco going down injured last week.
For Charlotte, no Enzo Martinez today. He's their leading goal scorer, but they will have Brian Brown, who is second to Martinez with 7 goals this year, first on the team with 5 assists. It's a solid campaign thus far for the Jamaican striker.
Yeah, he's had a good season. He's a full Jamaican international. Previously, he played for Harborview FC in Jamaica, where he had loan spells at Philadelphia Union and also the Indy 11 in the NASL. He's a powerful, quick, left-footed number 9. Also, he works extremely hard for his team. His pace last week against Cincinnati drew a PK, reacting to a quick loose ball.
So, Terry, I mentioned off the top, a little clumsily, but no Mitch Taintor and Bouba Diop for TFC2 this afternoon. That's because we saw a little bit of a skirmish in stoppage time last week against Montreal. Mitch Taintor has been suspended 5 matches by the USL, so the final 3 of this season and the first 2 of the 2017 campaign. And Bouba Diop, who we didn't see in the mix of things, but he gets a 3-game suspension also. Marco Dominguez from FC Montreal gets 5 games as well.
It all comes from a little bit of petulance from Captain Chris Bonella. Taintor gets into the scuffle. To be fair, he's standing up for his teammates, but what you can't do is start swinging punches. That's why both him and Dominguez have got the 5-game suspension. It's such a big game, that derby between Montreal and Toronto. No one wants to lose, and what a game it was, 4-3.
We'll have more ahead of this afternoon's action, but first let's send it back down to pitch level for the national anthems. Charlotte is in 6th place in the Eastern Conference, but can jump to 3rd with a win this afternoon. Toronto FC2 looking to play the role of spoiler, and head coach Jason Bent will send forth this starting 11. Clint Irwin between the pipes, as we mentioned. Wesley Sharpie wearing the captain's armband, leading the back four of Maletic, Simonin, and Osorio. Looks like it'll be a front two, perhaps, up front with Ricardo John and Jordan Hamilton, but we'll see more of that as the match develops. And Mo Babouli, Raheem Edwards present dangerous scoring options in the midfield for the Toronto side. For the Charlotte Independents and head coach Mike Jeffries, as mentioned, they're trying to continue a strong run of play, and they line things up like this. It's Cody Mitzel between the pipes, and we mentioned the scoring threat of Brian Brown. Davis Estrada and Alex Martinez will be forces for the Independents in this lineup as well, as you see their substitutes also. Let's get to Terry's 3 keys to the match.
Service to Ricardo. The big Trinidadian thrives on crosses. Don't turn down any invitations to put the ball in the box. Number 2, transition. TFC2 were great going forward via FC Montreal, at times as good as they've been all season, but they need to find the right balance and not leave themselves exposed for the counter. Charlotte have a ton of pace up front with Estrada and Brown. Number 3, Maletic coming in for Tainter. Tainter's been brilliant all season. He's now suspended for 5 games. It's a great opportunity for Maletic to step in and show what he can do until the end of the season.
Mentioned Wesley Sharpie wearing the captain's armband for the Reds this afternoon. The captain, Chris Manella, picked up a bit of a knock in training earlier this week. Not expected to be anything serious, but it will prevent him from entering the lineup this afternoon. The second to last home game of the season for Toronto. After today, just 2 more matches overall as they'll head to Rochester to finish off the 2016 campaign. But for Charlotte, they are right in the mix for that Eastern Conference playoff.
Yeah, it looks, Matt, like TFC will go a little bit different today with John and Hamilton. Jason Bent normally plays a 4-3-3. I think he'll go with 2 up top, with Chris Manella just sat in behind them.
Toronto in the all-red kits. They will move from right to left on your screen when we get things underway. Charlotte Independents in all white, going from left to right. Charlotte has points in 7 of their last 8 games. 5 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws in that span. And these 2 teams have played once this season. Back on June 4th, it was a 2-2 draw in Charlotte. The game was called in the 73rd minute because of lightning. Toronto led 2-0 at the half on goals from Sean Hundle and Malik Johnson, but a pair from Jorge Herrera in the second half equalized for the Independents, and that's where it was when the game was called after 73. No lightning threatening this afternoon. Gorgeous skies in Toronto. We are ready for a full 90 at the Ontario Soccer Centre. There is the opening whistle, and we are underway, Toronto and Charlotte. There's a quick strike right away from Herrera, and it's well wide of the goal. As we saw there, Adam Bouchard making his first start in quite a while. He was a substitute last week for Jason Bent against Montreal, playing in the midfield. And Clement Simonin also on that back line. He played about half an hour, coming on for the injured Skylar Thomas, who is not in the lineup today either. So we'll see if Simonin's minutes increase from the 30 he got last week here today.
Maletic and Simonin, they should be a good partnership on paper. Maletic is the big center half who will win the headers, and then Simonin, he's the sort of player that will read the game and try to get on the ball, and he'll set off TFC's counters.
And Terry, we're also unsure about the duration of Clint Irwin's activity this afternoon. He played, I believe it was 65 minutes last week against Montreal, and we were sort of unsure whether he'll play the full 90 to get himself up to that conditioning, or maybe just a 45 to get a little bit more game action and, you know, keep him healthy and rested ahead of the match for TFC next week.
Yeah, I think in the goalkeeper position, you don't really need to worry about being rested in your minutes. This year, the coaching staff and the medical side of things have really wrapped players in cotton wool, and they're sort of easing them back into full fitness. And I would be surprised if he didn't play the 90 minutes. It's a big week for him. Hopefully today goes well. He'll get back into training, and then Greg Venny's got a big decision. Does he go with Bono or does he go with the experience of Clint Irwin? Bono's been in magnificent form since taking over for Clint Irwin for a couple months from that quad injury.
Charlotte creates the turnover in midfield. That's Jack Metcalf here on the near side, being watched by Osorio. Sends it in for Brian Brown. Brown crossed in, and a poor cross. It hits the side netting, will be out for a goal kick. Irwin takes that quickly. This will allow Toronto to move the ball forward. There's Brian James looking for a through ball to Ricardo John. And the offside flag is up. So the Trinidadian striker was in behind the Charlotte back line.
John and Hamilton, they're similar sort of players in there. We saw them both make the exact same run in behind. When you need one to come to feet and one to go in behind.
Bouchard takes the throw in. It's turned over by Toronto. This will give Charlotte an opportunity. Herrera comes now for Estrada. Estrada with some space finds Metcalf. There's Klaus. Now Metcalf. Herrera, one touch out wide for Estrada. Estrada looking to cross it in. Lobs it, and Irwin decides to let it fall, and Wesley Sharpie will have to send it out for the first corner of the afternoon to Charlotte.
Good play here from Estrada. It's important that Osorio doesn't get caught ball watching. He comes out to him eventually. Good feet from Estrada. He just clips it to the back post here. Irwin decides not to come for it. Good spot at the back post for Sharpie to just have headed out for a corner. Last time I saw Estrada was about 3-4 years ago. He's playing for the Seattle Sounders, and at CenturyLink Park, he scored a hat trick against us. So great to see him again.
Irwin tries to punch that away, and it's put in on the rebound, and it's an opening goal for Charlotte off the corner. I'm not quite sure who got the touch to it. May have been number 5, Paul Close. We'll get a look on the replay, but not the start that Clint Irwin wanted once again.
Nasty ball whipped in here by Herrera. Sticks it right on Clint Irwin's head. Clint Irwin's just caught up with the player in front of him there, and the big center half powers it through. Sloggy.
I believe it's Patrick Slogic, number 4, who comes right into your living room there. And as you said, a tough ball for Irwin there, and inside 5 minutes for the second week in a row, we've got an opening goal, and more importantly, Clint Irwin taking some attention from the medical staff. Looks like his eye, perhaps one of those rubber pellets from the turf, hopped up and got him in the eye.
Yeah, I think he was battling Bartlett. Just sat in front of him, and he was more worried about trying to get him off himself, and he just loses sight of the ball. And when he realizes it, it's a little bit too late. He almost touches it off the crossbar, and all of a sudden, the big center half's there to power it through. He just gets caught by an elbow there, and
maybe
both of them were battling to put it in.
On the attempt there by Slogic as he came through, may have taken maybe even a knee to the head. I wonder if maybe if we can get one more look at the GoPro inside the net, that might give us a little bit more information about what it does appear to be his eye. As he does
well to stop it, because that's going to go in directly. He needs then some help from his defenders. And then, as you said, Matt, he just gets caught by a knee. I think it's the right knee of
Slogic. As we'll rewind it one more time.
You'll see Slogic, the player on the right-hand side of your screen. He comes in. After he sticks it in the net, he just follows through with his knee and catches him in the head.
And it may have landed on him. He may have got the boot to the face as well also. But Irwin will shake it off. He's received his treatment.
Welcome to the USL, Clint. What a nightmare start for him. To be fair, he needs to be more commanding there. If he can't catch it, he needs to get enough on it, punch it away from the goal.
Not sure how much this might have had to do with it, but the wind is blowing in that direction, and perhaps the wind carried that ball a little bit towards Irwin more than he was expecting. Regardless, it's a opening goal for Charlotte in the opening stages of this match, and Toronto will have to play from behind once again.
As we touched on before, great ball in from Herrera as well.
Through ball there, looking to find Brian Brown. Irwin's off his line. Brown gets around him. Brown puts it off the side netting. Wow, what a bullet dodge there for Toronto.
Yeah, Clint Irwin's just caught in no man lands. He's lucky not to give a penalty there. We spoke about it before the game, how quick Brown is. Brown's onto it so sharply, touches it around Irwin. To be fair, once he's there, I don't think there's an angle for the shot. He should be looking to hit Herrera. The Jamaican international so sharp.
That started from a sloppy pass in the midfield from Toronto, and we're less than 10 minutes in, but the Young Reds do not look sharp in the early going.
Last week against Cincinnati, drew, in a similar circumstance to that, drew a penalty, just getting onto a through ball, and the keeper brought him down.
Ricardo John at midfield. Sends it out for Sharpie.
Another factor as well, Matt, is this surface is so slow. Clint Irwin at BMO, that ball goes straight through to him there. On this AstroTurf, it'll just hold up and check a little bit.
There's Raheem Edwards. And for James, now Babouli. Trying to find Sharpie out wide. That's knocked out, and it will go for a corner. The first real opportunity for Toronto will come from this corner, and Mo Babouli back in charge of the set pieces this week, it will appear.
You lose a couple of big targets in Tainter and Skylar Thomas, but Maletich, he comes in, he's a big boy, and also John. He scored 2 headers last week.
Babouli whips that in, headed up. I think it was John who got to it, but was not able to get the angle, and it's sent over the goal.
Good out-swinging corner here from Mo Babouli. It's a difficult header that when you're coming off your back foot to get any power on it, he just heads it over the bar. He's just reaching for it a little bit. Matt, this is where it's so difficult to be a goalkeeper, because when you make a mistake like that, you've now got to go 82 minutes, and there's not a lot you can do. In midfield, at least I could go kick somebody or try to score a goal. He's now got to just be mentally switched on, put it behind him.
Simonin steps up very well there and will spring Edwards. Edwards on the right side, looking for his options, decides on Adam Bouchard, and now back to Simonin. Simonin trying to pick out Ricardo John, not quite able to get to it. Charlotte intercepts and counters. Here's Klaus.
TFC2 are just looking a little bit disjointed at the moment. All season they've been playing 4-3-3. It's different changing to this 4-4-2. You need to get that ball through the lines into the front two a little bit quicker.
Brown sets that up. That's hammered off Maletich. And one free by James. Here's Simonin. Edwards for Babouli. Babouli feeling some pressure there from Jan Ekra. Wins the free kick. Quickly for Simonin. Does well to handle a tricky hop. Presses forward, now Bouchard. Not sure if he was trying to pick out Edwards or Sharpie there, kind of right in between. Edwards momentarily able to win it back, but a quick counter here from the Independents. That's Estrada. Estrada working against James. Circles away just outside the area. There's Metcalf, and the offside flag is up.
Charlotte get Estrada in a great position. Just before that, he's running at full pelt at James. He just slows down. He needs to be a little bit more direct, really drive it at James there, make him make a decision. James playing out on the left-hand side of, you see him at the bottom of your screen there. He's playing left of the midfield four. He's really a central midfielder. He wants to tuck in. He just needs to give a little bit more width here. It's a bit too condensed in the middle of the park.
Bouchard out for Simonin. Osorio. Simonin. Sharpie misses the tackle there, and it'll be Alex Martinez. Martinez again. There's Brown crossing in. James there first to clear for Toronto. Taken down by Babouli. Edwards. And it's going to be a free kick here to Charlotte.
I'd be surprised if they didn't put this ball in the box right on Clint Irwin again. Here you see the center half's coming up now. Herrera's a real experienced player. He's a Colombian. He's 35 now. Good game management from him to just stick it right back on Clint Irwin.
And they've got the wind to their back here, which will allow that ball to carry a little bit. Whipped in. Bouchard goes up to head it away. Babouli meets it, and Edwards will spring Hundle up that right side. That's actually Brian James, and he is pushed down there and wins a free kick.
Hundle asks, good run from James from midfield. Early ball from Edwards, just putting it in behind. You see Herrera tracking back. Should be a yellow card.
It is a yellow card there to Herrera.
The last thing the 35-year-old wants to do is chase Brian James 40 yards down the pitch. What a great ball in for the goal.
Babouli will take this once again. Toronto's pushed a few bodies forward. John, Maletich, Hamilton, Edwards, and Simonin all in the vicinity of the penalty area.
Last week against FC Montreal, they had a clever set piece up there. Here we see again another set piece. Doesn't quite come off. Just needs better quality from Mo Babouli. They freed up Osorio here on the back post.
He was trying to find Osorio, just mishit it, and it was about 15 yards behind Osorio.
Assistant coach Chris Pozniak, he's a coach that draws up all the set pieces. It's fantastic for a coach when you see a set piece come off.
Another free kick here, won by Toronto. Simonin, Maletich. Sharpie. James. Trying to find John, but intercepted.
Again, you see both center forwards making the same run. Hamilton's already made that run in behind. John needs to try to get that to his feet.
Estrada for Metcalf. Again, Estrada. Slogic. Martinez. And that's out. And Terry, you know, we've talked about Hamilton and John sort of almost playing the same role here so far today. You know, Jordan Hamilton's been brought in here for his goal scoring abilities and his offensive capability. I don't think he's touched the ball yet, and it's pretty difficult for him to be effective when he's not able to get any touches.
Yeah, good point. At the moment, TFC2 are just trying to come to grips with this system, and they're struggling getting the ball into the front two with any quality. Both the center forwards are used to being a lone striker there as a number 9. At the moment, they're both making similar sort of runs, and they're also playing too far apart from one another. When you play with the front two, you need to play off of one another.
And John, guilty of the infraction there, pulling on Greenspan. Clever flick there from Brown. Estrada working against Osorio. Now Metcalf. And that's an easy offside call on Martinez.
A good line from the TFC back four just to catch him offside. Clever ball, though, from the right back. Metcalf just tries to catch TFC2 out. Shapes up like he's going to put it into the back post and then tries to play it into the target man.
So things have settled down a little bit for Toronto over the last 10 minutes, but as we've talked a little bit about, Terry, still really searching for that momentum in possession. They have not really been able to string together many passes. consecutively.
Yeah, for sure. Last week against FC Montreal, their attacking play and their waves of attack and their passing was very crisp. Today, at the moment, it's just a little bit slow. Sometimes this happens when you have players coming down from the first team. We've yet to see Edwards come into the game.
There's Close. Metcalf crosses in, headed away by Simonin. Brian James. Sharpie.
It's not easy
Hamilton.
for Jason Bent, sorry Matt, trying to fit everybody in their most comfortable positions. At the minute, it's sort of square places, round pegs a little bit. James, he's not really a wide player. He should be playing wide out on the left. He keeps tucking in. Simonin's overplaying a little bit at the back.
There's Estrada. Brown. Brown will pass off. Ekra sends it wide. Fans, keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL and its 29 teams. Terry, I know there are a number of players today who continue to play for positions and jobs for next season as Toronto starts to look forward to that with their playoff hopes of 2016 extinguished. How can a game be influenced when there's a team who's fighting for playoff positioning? This game means a lot to Charlotte, and in terms of standings,
they secured their playoff spot winning their last game.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, they're in 6th right now, but can jump up to 3rd, and so there's still a lot of jockeying for them. So this game's still obviously very important. And for Toronto, in terms of the standings, less so. How can that affect a player's mindset in a game like this as we come towards the end of the season?
First of all, Matt, you've got to come into a game with the same mindset, even training, that you want to be the best, that you want to improve. You never want to let a moment pass you by. That's the worst feeling on the bus or in the car going home thinking, wow, you know what, I could have done better today. And there's a lot on the line for these players. They're playing for contracts, and it's difficult. Some players will rise to that. Others will fold. I don't think decisions are made in over 1 or 2 games. They're made over the season. I think for the most part, Jason Bent and the first team staff know who has a chance. And it's difficult, though.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, and I know this can be a tough question. Does it look a little bit today like there are some players who are, I don't want to say less interested in others, but just don't have that same drive that they might have earlier in the season?
So far for me...
And I don't want you to name any names or anything like that.
I was just about to. No.
As we see an opportunity for Babouli, we'll get back to that in a second as that strike is blocked by a sliding Paul Close.
For me, it just looks like the team isn't as comfortable in the shape right now. 1 or 2 players have a little bit of a different agenda. It's not easy for Mo Babouli or Hamilton coming down from the first team. You've got Clint Irwin in net. He's coming back from injury. You've got a couple of young players that are trying to break into that first team. And then you probably have 1 or 2 that probably know they're not going to be here next season. For me, though, players not everyone's going to be messy, but one thing you should never question is their work ethic and putting that effort into it, and that's your minimum standard.
Bouchard does well to dispossess there, trying to spring Hamilton, and that's well out of his reach, gobbled up by Mizzle. There's Ekra. Out wide to the left for Slagic. There's a strike. Irwin dives to his left and makes an athletic save on that strike from Alex Martinez.
Good play here from Charlotte. Martinez's first touch isn't great. He's allowed to turn, which James shouldn't let him. He just makes half a yard for himself. And there you see Clint Irwin at his best making a good save. Good hands from him to hold on to it and not give a rebound.
While we were in the replay, Jorge Herrera gets whistled for a foul just outside the box, and it nearly sprung an opportunity for the Independents, and they were protesting the foul. Simonin. Long ball trying to find John, and he loses the positioning there to Greenspan, who is able to get inside and clear. And now John down to the pitch holding his face. He's in some discomfort, maybe got an elbow to the nose or the chin. Looks like he's holding his chin. So we'll take another look here.
It was good movement from John in the first place. He comes short to create that space in behind. Simonin just needs to play that into the channel. It's not the best ball from him. John tries to make it a good one. He just catches an elbow from Greenspan.
Not a malicious elbow. Not even sure it was intentional either.
Sore one, though. He catches a flailing elbow just to the chops.
So this will be an unofficial water break here.
Simonin, though, he had time on that ball. He's got better quality with that. He has one of the best left foots at the club, probably one of the best ball-playing center halves. He's good enough to just feel that ball into the corner for John to run onto.
Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. We'll get one more look at that save by Clint Irwin from a few moments ago.
This will be good for his confidence. He sees the shot coming, he sets himself, dives to his left. Good save from him. He was so good at the start of the season for TFC, especially when they went on that run of 8 games away from home. TFC also were very good defensively, but there was times where he had to step up and make crucial saves. Some of the one-on-one saves where he was really quick off his line kept TFC in games. And that's a position last season when Vanni first took over, TFC struggled with.
There's Martinez moving forward. Over to Slagic on the left flank. Crossed in. And good save there from Irwin, as it was a one-touch from Estrada and knocked out for a corner.
Great ball from the big center half, Slagic. He just cuts inside on his right-hand foot. Osorio at the back post just gets caught underneath it. And Estrada, good contact from him. What great reactions from Irwin to tip it over the bar.
Back-to-back above-average saves for Irwin. And
that last one, very above average. Great reactions from him.
And maybe that will get his confidence trending in the right direction as he plays for just the second time since late June. There's a cross in, headed down, and whistle here to the Independents. Free kick to Toronto.
Simonin does well there on that corner. He uses his body. Slagic is about a foot taller than him, but he just gets in front of him, holds him off, and makes that header difficult. It's difficult to replicate games in training. Having this USL team for Toronto FC, bringing players back from injury is so important.
Irwin directing traffic. Motions for Simonin to head towards the middle of the pitch.
For the viewers that didn't see it, that's exactly how he pulled his quad and was out for over 2 months away at Orlando, taking a goal kick like that.
And so, as you said off the top, Terry, those plays, it will sound simple, but those plays are almost more important for him than making saves. Just feeling comfortable with that motion.
For sure. When we spoke to Greg Vanni in the week, of course you want to see him make saves and look comfortable, and that'll be good for his confidence. But the first thing Greg said was, I was watching his goal kicks, and was there any effects of that quad? Was he really kicking through it? And there was no issues whatsoever.
No hesitation that we can see. And Simonin hits that poorly, and it's out for a Charlotte throw.
Simonin, he's just trying to force things at the moment. Sometimes when you make a mistake, you try to make up for it by hitting the wonder ball. He just needs to play himself back into the game.
We talked about Simonin at length last week, and it's been a difficult first 2 seasons in North America for him. A high draft pick last season, and has just had all kinds of difficulty staying on the pitch because of knee and other leg injuries. And like you said last week, loads of talent, but it's just staying on that field to use it has really been the issue for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he can get through these last couple of USL games, if TFC are going to keep him next season, possibly a loan spell in the offseason. then come back into preseason flying.
Here's Simonin now for Brian James. Babouli. One touch for Edwards.
Just needs a shout from James. Good ball around the corner. Tell Mo Babouli to turn.
Babouli. James. Long pass for Osorio. Off the mark. Taken by Estrada.
Those sort of passes last week against FC Montreal, they were connecting.
High into the air from Brian Brown. Headed forward by Slogic. There's Martinez. Martinez still carrying. Now we'll find Metcalf on the near side. Forward by Maletic. John able to keep that in, but it's Charlotte who will control with Metcalf. Through for Ekra. Brown dispossessed by Osorio and will smartly and safely play it back to goalkeeper Clint Irwin. Maletic.
The movement off the ball is just a little bit static. Bouchard's on it here. There's not many players are looking to get it. Everyone will have it to feet. He needs better movement in front of him.
Osorio pulls that down. Now James. Edwards. Edwards fighting through Slogic, and Slogic will get whistled there, and Edwards wins the free kick for Toronto.
You can see Slogic there. He's pointing at the ball. He did get the ball, but you can't go through a player like that.
What you were mentioning, Terry, the off-the-ball movement, like you used the word static, I think that's great, because even in that situation there, Raheem Edwards was almost stopped up waiting for that pass and really telegraphing where it's going to go, and makes it so easy for the defenders to close in, and he had no space by the time he received that pass.
The movement's reactive rather than being proactive, and sometimes you create space by making a run in behind for somebody else.
Babouli, long strike, and that'll be deflected out for a corner. Edwards was in the area.
You see Mo Babouli's quality there. He just sticks it in behind the back four, far enough away from the goalkeeper, which he can't come from that. Great ball from him.
And so now it will be the second corner of the afternoon for Toronto. Babouli will take it again. John and Edwards right in there for Toronto. Edwards goes up for it, and he got a piece of it, but it's headed almost straight down, and it was out wide before it hit the ground.
He's not the biggest, Edwards, but what a fantastic leap he has. He goes over top of Slogic, who's almost 7 foot at the back post. Watch this leap from him. He just hangs in the air. If he could just get that back towards goal, towards Hamilton, possibly it would be a better opportunity.
Just over half an hour played here in Toronto.
You touched on it at about 15 minutes. And now even at 30 minutes, I think I've had more touches of the ball than Hamilton. He needs to somehow get himself into the game.
Osorio will have to sprint to run this down to keep it in play, and he is just able to get there. As once again, the simple passes for Toronto just not being completed, and they're really chasing the game in that sense.
The balance and the angles are just not quite right in midfield, and everything seems a little bit forced.
There's James. Edwards. Disrupted by Estrada. And Brown appealing for a yellow card here. Referee shaking him off. And Babouli, who was sort of at the center of things to start that melee last week with a free kick booted right off the Montreal player, and now he's a little bit close there on that free kick from Charlotte. And Terry, you talk all the time about a response from a bad game or a disappointing result, and we have not really seen that from Toronto. A difficult result last week in conceding inside the final 5 minutes to lose the game, and then the skirmish at the end and that can sometimes have an effect on a team long term. Do you think there is any of that at all today? We'll get that thought from you in a moment as Babouli tries to find Ricardo John, and the pass is disrupted.
I actually thought the team played very well last week, especially going forward. They just got caught on the counter and in transition one too many times, and some of the defending in 1v1 situations wasn't great. Of course, the skirmish isn't good, but I just think today, the circumstances that we spoke about before, a lot of changes in the starting lineup, players coming down from the first team, players coming back from injury, contracts are up right now. I think that all plays its part, and it's difficult responding to conceding a goal in the first minute as well. Bouchard in the middle of the park, he's not played a lot of minutes. I think this is his first start, possibly all season. See again, John does well, great first touch, and then he draws a foul, but Hamilton's 35 yards away from him. How's John supposed to head it on to anybody?
There's Bouchard. Maletic. Oh, Bouchard. Slogic. Martinez. Dispossessed by Babouli. Trying to find Hamilton. And again, just out of the reach.
Good pressure from Babouli to turn the ball over in midfield. Just needs a little bit more quality on it to play Hamilton through. You've also got John on the other side as well. Here we see him, great pressure from him. Greg Vanney will love to see that in the stands. Good touch. Releases it a little bit too early. I don't think the pass was on. He would have been better to run with it. Commit one of the defenders. Good strike from Edwards from distance there. Keeper touches it over the bar. Yeah, Mo Babouli, keep running with it there. You're great. Once that defender comes, commits himself, then slide the ball through to Hamilton.
Let's take another look at that strike from Edwards that results in the corner.
I like this from Edwards. One touch out of his feet here. Boom. Don't think it's going on target. Keeper touches it over.
Swung in by Babouli. Comes down for Hamilton. This will roll out for a throw for Toronto, as just on the other side of that corner flag. A foot away from being another Toronto corner.
Good defending from Slogic. Hamilton's first touch is immaculate, brings it out of the sky, tries to create half a yard, and Slogic's long leg puts it out for a throw.
Thrown in for James. Now Simonin. Finds Osorio. Again, James. Trying to pick out Hamilton in the box. And out for a Toronto throw.
Hamilton does well there. He had no right winning that ball or earning a throw for TFC2. James just forced it a little bit, and there was no one near him. Just bring the ball in.
Thrown in for Hamilton. Osorio. Babouli. James. Bouchard. Looking for Sharpie. Bounces off Sharpie's foot and out for a throw.
Great overlap from Sharpie there. He took two Charlotte defenders with him. The ball for Bouchard was just feed it into that inside channel to Edwards.
Just under 10 minutes till the intermission here. Toronto, after the first goal, just off a corner, off a rebound, and nearly conceded again a couple minutes later, but have steadied defensively and really not given Charlotte any quality opportunities since then.
Yeah, good point. As disjointed as it's been going forward defensively, they've been pretty solid. Charlotte haven't looked like scoring.
James taken down there, but no foul called. Throw into the Independents. Simonin pushes forward and he draws the foul there. Looks like he might be the one being whistled, but referee awards it in Toronto's favor. They move ahead quickly. Edwards trying to find Ricardo John, not able to play that hop, and will have to run it down. Pulls it in, gets around one man. John fights forward and was taken down. Referee waves it off. Terry's hands go up here in the booth. When we get an opportunity, we'll get another look at that to see if it is a missed penalty from the official.
At first look, for me, it looks like there's enough contact where it's a penalty. When you're going at the defenders at full pelt, it doesn't take much to go over. All comes from a clever, quick free kick from Bouchard.
Greenspan. All the way over to Slagic.
You don't normally see fullbacks as tall as Slagic. It looks like Peter Crouch is playing left back over there. To be fair to him, he's had a solid game. Not just the goal, but on the ball he's been comfortable.
Let's take a look at that potential penalty here.
John squares him up one-on-one. The Trinidad looks like he just beats him to it, and Slagic catches him. Like to maybe see another angle from behind the goal if we get a sec.
Martinez leaves it there for Brown. Brown carries it in. Brown goes to ground now. Definitely not a foul there. And Bouchard goes sliding through. Metcalf takes a boot in the head, but he's up all right. Now Greenspan. Martinez. Crossed in, headed up by Maletic. Comes down for Martinez. Martinez carries on. Martinez still with it, and he's got the goal. Alex Martinez fights through a pair of Toronto defenders, keeps the ball on his foot, and slides it past Clint Irwin for a 2-0 advantage to Charlotte.
Good play from him. He wanted it more than the Toronto FC players. Comes to him here. He plays a 1-2 with Estrada, keeps his run going, gets it out of his feet here, and just slides it underneath Clint Irwin.
In his 10th match, that's the first goal of the season for Alex Martinez.
Yeah, Clint Irwin, he's caught in no man's land a little bit there. It's a good 1-2. No, by no means it's on Clint Irwin. Good finish from him. He thinks he's going to go near post. Gambles a little bit, Clint Irwin, and Martinez puts it to Clint Irwin's right-hand side. His run has to be tracked on that 1-2. Even if you foul him in that situation, you can't let him get past you. He almost bundles through the back four.
Now Bouchard or Simonin. James recovers that poor pass. Edwards unable to find a teammate. Mizzle sends it forward. Cody Mizzle has not been very busy in this opening half in the Charlotte goal.
Yeah, just the one save from Edwards where he tips it over. Jason Bennett at halftime will be a big team talk from him. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he changed his system in the second half. For one of the few times this season, he might question the work ethic of the players out there this season in the first half.
Bouchard stands his ground there and takes an elbow to the face from Brian Brown after making a good defensive play. Ricardo John double teamed a little bit there, not able to pull it through, and now Metcalf will play this out as Adam Bouchard remains on the turf. Brian Brown over him apologetically.
Yeah, you'll see Bouchard coming over here on the cover. He's all action midfielder. Those are the sort of tackles he loves. Just on the follow through, he gets caught by Brown's arm.
Bouchard is up. Appears no worse for wear.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. This is the water break. Boys, in. Let's go right now. Bottles off. Guys, let's go. On my whistle. On my whistle.
Charlotte trying to take an impromptu water break, and the officials yelling at them to hurry it up and get back on the pitch. And Toronto now giving the ball back to Charlotte.
Let's get up then. No, no, no. Second ball.
Headed forward by Martinez. Simonin nonchalantly pushes it forward, and it's gathered by Estrada, and now Metcalf. Brown. Trying to cross in for Martinez. Disrupted by Bouchard. Here's Ekra. Ekra with a strike, and it's over. Irwin lets it sail past for a goal kick. Maletic sends this long forward for John. Will be thrown in by Slogic. Simonin, Bouchard. Osorio. James. Simonin. Osorio. Simonin. Simonin trying to pick out Hamilton streaking down that left side. And they're attempting to get it to Jordan Hamilton, but have been, for the most part, unsuccessful thus far.
Yeah, that's a little bit too predictable. Also too straight. That ball needs to go into the channel. Otherwise, it'll just run through to the goalkeeper as it did.
Simonin steps up. Smart play there from the defender. Pushes forward for Edwards. Edwards trying to get around Slogic. Not able to do so as the big defender able to keep the position on Edwards. Real smart play there from Simonin, though, to step up and start that counterattack.
Yeah, for one of the first times this half, we actually see a change in tempo. Everything so far had been a little bit cumbersome. He reads the play well. Edwards a little bit unlucky on that turn. I thought Slogic just had an arm on his back as well.
Simonin for James.
I know it's real hot and the turf slow, but there needs to be a little bit more urgency and tempo to their play. The players are playing like it's a preseason friendly. There's just a little bit more intensity. They need to get that ball forward quicker. Also, when you're playing with two center forwards, like Osorio gets away with one there, he's got to follow Martinez's run. When you've got two big targets like John and Hamilton, get the ball into them.
There's Babuli trying to find Hamilton. Hamilton goes up, and it comes down, but two white shirts of the Independents are there to clear it.
Great.
3 minutes of added time signaled by the fourth
Matt,
official.
that was a fantastic ball from Babuli with his left foot. He just tees it up at the back post from Hamilton, but because Hamilton and John are so far from each other, Hamilton can't knot it down to his mate up front. He has to try to take that on his chest, and in the end, he's bundled out of it by the defenders.
Here's Brian James. Now Osorio. Again for James. Edwards. Out wide for Sharpie. Crossed in, and leaping to snag it out of the air is Cody Mizzle. The 3 minutes of added time, abnormally long for the first half, but it was about 2 full minutes that Clint Irwin was receiving treatment after taking a knee to the face on the opening Charlotte goal in the 5th minute.
You've got to give some credit to Charlotte as well. Out of possession, defensively, their shape has been decent. They've been difficult to break down. In their last 8 games, they've only conceded 5 goals.
High boot there from, I believe that was Martinez, near Simonin. Referee looked like he was going to try and play the advantage, but rightly brings it back. Headed forward by Sharpie. Edwards trying to run through Ekra. But Charlotte will control with close.
Ekra does well to turn out of trouble. Mo just gambles. I don't mind that he doesn't see him behind him. Ekra turns out of trouble.
Played out by Maletic.
That's better from defending from your back four. Too many times in this first half, it's gone into Brown Estrada. They've been allowed to turn. Maletic is tight to him, puts it out for a corner. No nonsense defending.
Charlotte pressing, looking for a third goal before halftime. Brown plays it through Edwards. Still with it. Takes a bump there from Simonin. And Brian Brown is livid at the official.
I think he's got a point. He doesn't need this attitude after talking to the ref like that, but I do think Simonin catches him a little bit. You can't pick it up with your hands. More times than not, I think he gets a foul there.
I think I just heard the fourth official walk over to the Charlotte bench and say, you better have a talk with him at halftime. Surely to discuss, the way that he is responding to the referee here, and that if he continues that way, he'll be in the book.
Yeah, it was a little bit petulant from him after, but I think he's got a point. I think there was a foul in there.
That's the end of the opening 45. Toronto trails 2-0 to the Charlotte Independence. And Terry, normally we try to pick out the positives from Toronto's play, and not to harp on them too much, but there really has not been a lot positive in that opening half there.
No, I think your positives are it's another 45 minutes under your belt for Clint Irwin. At the moment, it looks like everything's hard work for TFC. They haven't been able to put together 4 or 5 passes. For me, you've got to get the ball into Hamilton, get it into John. Those two need to play closer together. And the back four, they're dropping a little bit too deep. They're too far away from their midfield. There's a big gap there. Balls are able to get into Estrada, into Brown too easily. And to be fair, Charlotte have approached this game, and for me, it looks like they want it more than TFC2 at the moment.
Let's send it down to Chantal Boy, who is standing with Adam Bouchard.
Thanks, Matt. Adam, your first start in some time. Overall impressions on that first 45?
I think we could have done a little bit better keeping the ball. And, of course, we're disappointed to concede 2 at the half, but we're going to go back, regroup, and see if we can get it back into this.
And it was a different formation. Do you see that you guys need to adjust more to that, or do you think you'll be switching back to the old formation?
Yeah, I think we still got to adjust a little bit. It's new for us. We've been playing 4-3-3 all year. But it's a challenge for us, and we're going to keep going with it.
All right, well, good luck in the second half. Matt and Terry, back to you.
Toronto FC2 has a bit of a hole to work themselves out of after conceding twice in that opening 45 minutes, including one inside the first 5. A half that Clint Irwin won't be happy with the results of the 2 goals conceded, but it's another 45 minutes under his belt. Terry and I will give you our halftime thoughts when we return. You're watching the Charlotte Independence and Toronto FC2. Hi everyone, welcome back inside the Ontario Soccer Centre. Matt Nicolantonio here with Terry Dunfield. At the half, the Charlotte Independents leading TFC2 by a score of 2-0. A bit of an uninspired half for Toronto FC2, Terry, and let's take a look at sort of what transpired over those first 45 minutes, including an early opening goal.
Yeah, this wasn't the start TFC2 were looking for. Herrera sticks it right on Clint Irwin. Clint Irwin doesn't get any backup from his defenders, and it's bundled in over the line. Here, Irwin tries to come off his line, just misjudges a little bit. Brown's so quick. For me, Brown's got to pass it to Herrera. He tries to get it in at the near post. Good footwork here from Martinez. Gets a strike on goal. Good handling from Clint Irwin. Here we see Clint Irwin's reaction. He just tips it over the bar. That'll be good for his confidence. One of TFC's few chances was laid back to Edwards. Edwards with his sweet left foot tests the keeper. And then a fantastic 1-2 from Martinez. Bundles through the back four and just slides it underneath Clint Irwin to make it 2-0.
Unfortunately for Toronto, the most positive aspect of that opening half might be the form of Clint Irwin as he continues in his rehab. We'll have more on the halftime when we return. You're watching Charlotte and Toronto.
Welcome back to the Ontario Soccer Centre. Just a couple more minutes until the second half, so it's time for the USL Goals of the Week for Week 23. You'll hear a familiar voice in this one because we got Matt Nicolantonio on the call from last week's game from Toronto versus Montreal. Take a look.
Gets over Lorendi, which appears to be the plan of the day. And this ball played towards the net, and it's in! Oh, what a terrific goal that is! What a strike from Gonzalez! He scores for the second game running against Oklahoma.
Tonight, I think both teams are really working to, obviously they need the and there's a fantastic goal right there from Herzog.
Herzog, great little combination with
That's Mkungilwa, crossed in and headed away by Sharpie. There's a strike and it's an answer for Montreal! It's the captain, Louis Béon-Goyette. He beats Clint Irwin, and 40 seconds later, Montreal have equalized.
For Hawks, let's first watch this run by Rochester. Into the box, a shot, and we have a tie game. Steven Dos Santos, the forward from Cape Verde, drills it into the back of the net, and we're tied at 1 apiece.
Fear of late. Iwasa overtakes. That's a mazy dribble by Iwasa. Fires it! What a goal from Cameron Iwasa! Sacramento Republic are in front. 3.
Welcome back to the Ontario Soccer Centre. I'm here with Toronto FC 2 head coach Jason Bent. Jason, 2-0 after 45. Obviously not the result you want to see right now. Thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, we didn't get the start that we wanted to. You know, goal straight from the corner with a few big bodies in front of Clint there. And then, you know, we didn't manage the moments 5 minutes before half where, you know, a tackle needs to be made and the ball squirts through and they get a fortuitous goal. But the period in between that, I think we controlled the match without having any clear-cut chances. So we need to have a better start to the second half.
All right, well, good luck in the second half. Matt and Terry, back to you.
Thanks, Chantel. We'll see at least one substitute. Actually, we'll see 2 substitutes here for Toronto coming into the second half. Let's take a look at the first half stats first, and we'll get you to those substitutions. So you see the 2 goals, 10 shots for Charlotte, and 4 on target, 2 find the back of the net.
Secondary substitution for Toronto FC 2. Exiting the match, number 65.
Couple of substitutions for Toronto. We'll see number 44, Tristan Hodge, making his TFC 2 debut, and Kota Sakurai, number 38, also coming on. He is a member of the TFC Academy, and Tristan Hodge on loan right now to Toronto FC 2. Adam Bouchard is out.
Maletich as well.
And Maletich is the other one, 65. So Sakurai will play that center back with Simonin, and
Sakurai, he's a midfielder, Matt. He'll just play in front of the back
yes, he's
four.
playing the Bouchard role
yeah,
there.
holding midfielder. The academy think very highly of him. He's comfortable on the ball. He's also quite dynamic. And then Hodge, he's on loan, as you said, from a club in Trinidad. He's a left back, or he can play left-sided center half. He makes his debut with TFC 2.
Looks like he will be playing
left center half.
Left center half here with Simonin sliding over to the right. Simonin was playing on the left side in the opening half.
Yeah, Hodge is a natural left footer. Simonin, with a little bit more experience, he'll come over to the right-hand side. Hopefully this will help his passing.
There's a strike. Irwin dives to his right, makes a stop. And one question answered. Clint Irwin, we thought he may perhaps just play 45, but he is in to start the second half. We'll see what the plans are for him. As that ball almost comes down to Jordan Hamilton, but again, well defended and picked up by the defender Greenspan. And we'll now send it to the right back, Jack Metcalf.
Greenspan does well there. It looked like Hamilton had just got half a yard on him. Greenspan uses his large frame to nick the ball off him, and not only does he defend well, he also keeps the team in possession.
Terry, I know we criticized Toronto a lot in that opening half. What do you think the message from Jason Bent might have been in the locker room ahead of the second 45?
I thought he might have looked to change his shape a little bit. It looks like he's kept the same with Hamilton and John up front. At times, it comes down to your own personal pride. I don't think you need to really say a lot. You can have tough games going forward and struggle on the ball a little bit, but there's no excuse for working hard and tackling hard and putting in a shift defensively.
Hamilton trying to get around the edge there against Slogic, was knocked out. This comes for James Babuli, right off the head of the Charlotte player there. Sakurai steps up to intercept this. Here's Edwards. Again for Sakurai. Sakurai crossing in, looking to pick out John. John gets to it with the head, but not enough power on it, and it's lobbed over the goal. But good energy brought here to open the second half, and that coming from some of the young players, including Kota Sakurai.
Great start from Sakurai. Good energy from him, as you said. Matt came out to the right-hand side. You know you've got a big target in John. Get the ball into the box. Still, I'd like to see Hamilton closer to him for a knockdown. That was a difficult header for John to get on frame. That's the kind of ball you want to head back across net.
Sharpie battling with Martinez on this near side. Will be a throw to the Independents.
Again, that's too easy off the throw in. The marking wasn't right. Charlotte easily play out of that press.
James gets back to help the defense there. Nearly turns it over to Ekra. Now Edwards has to fight off Herrera. And back for Irwin. And the keeper will clear. Spilled for a Toronto throw. Terry, I know I'm going to say it again, we criticized Toronto a lot in the opening 45, and that's not to take anything away from Charlotte, who, you know, they're a strong team. They played a good opening 45. Obviously, we think the difficulties Toronto have been a little bit more self-inflicted, but Charlotte has played well so far in this match.
Yeah, they look good. They look like definitely a playoff team. They look dangerous in transition and on the counter. They've got a lot of pace up front, and Herrera's got the Estrada and Brown. He's the one who's picking the passes. Don't forget the Charlotte team as well. They're missing 3 or 4 starters. Their captain, Bilal Duckett, he's not here. They're also missing Davidson, the experienced midfielder who's played in the MLS.
And their leading goal scorer, Enzo Martinez.
Yeah, he's actually Martinez's brother who scored today, the Uruguayan. He scored a great goal from distance in their last game against Cincinnati.
That's Hodge for Babuli. Trying to find Osorio up that left side, and just too much power to it and not able to find his left back.
Good idea from Mo Babuli. He gets the ball in a great pocket of space. That's where he wants to receive it. He gets it for the first time today. He doesn't go back with it. He turns. You just need to know your player. Osorio, he's not the type of player like Edwards who wants to run onto balls. He wants the ball to feet. When you've had a tough start and it's a little bit slow on this turf, it's very difficult to raise the tempo.
And on that play there, it looked like Babuli knows that the turf is slow, and he tried to power it a little bit extra, and that worked against him as he got the speed that he wanted, just too much speed. Sharpie now. As Toronto will look to crack this Charlotte defense. Sharpie surrounded by 3 white jerseys with no support as he carries this toward the corner flag. Takes a slip there, and Charlotte will easily walk this out.
Yeah, he just ran down a blind alley. He was in lots of space when he received it. Just put the ball into the box.
This comes down for Herrera. Now for close. Metcalf. Charlotte content to pass around the midfield as they wait for the right avenue to move forward.
And they've earned this right as well, being 2-0 up. It's very difficult when you're chasing to the game. This is the last thing you want is a little keep ball session.
Slogic finds Ezra as Edwards was moving in to try and intercept. Now Simonin takes down his man, and in behind the defense, and there's a brilliant goal from David Estrada as he slips behind the Toronto back line and lifts it perfectly over Clint Irwin. 3-0 Charlotte.
To be fair, TFC2 had started the half well. Simonin reads it. It's good upper body strength from him. Ekra plays a great through ball. It's a straight ball that Estrada runs to from inside to out. And with his left foot, it's almost a half chip, half ball around Clint Irwin. He cut the angle down well, and he just feels it into that top corner.
And a statistical nightmare for Clint Irwin. He's at about 110 minutes here on rehab with TFC2 and now conceded 6 goals.
Probably 4 of them he couldn't have done a lot about. Simonin just looked a little bit rusty there. He read the ball, read the pass into Brown, looked like he was first to it, and then Brown just uses upper body strength to ease him off it. Falls to Ekra, and it's a great through ball. I love the ball run from outside to in from Estrada, and he's got that much pace. Once he's through, you're not catching him.
Here's Brian James as Toronto will continue to try and break through. Now down by 3. Here's Babouli. Babouli for Hamilton, and it's stopped. And the offside flag is up. Wouldn't have counted anyway.
Good move here, Mo Babouli. The left back just switches off his ball watching, definitely offside. Back 4 is high enough up the pitch.
For Estrada, that's his 4th of the season for Charlotte. And Terry, as you said, I thought Toronto came out better in this second half. Still not top notch, but a better performance than what we'd seen in the opening half. But 7 minutes in, it's another goal conceded.
And it's another goal you didn't have to. Your center half turns the ball over in a needless area. And Charlotte are very deadly on the counter. It's one pass from Ekra, and Estrada's in, and on his so-called bad left foot, it's a good finish from him.
Hodge. Rosario. Simonin for Babouli. Has Edwards. And can't find Edwards. You could see the play developing, and obviously the Charlotte defenders can see it as well. And I think it's that turf again, Terry, is on a grass field. I think that ball slides right in for Edwards.
Good point. Just that half-second hesitation from Mo Babouli.
That too.
Gave Slogic the opportunity to get back.
And down by 3, I have to imagine Toronto might start taking a few chances offensively.
Yeah, it's not in their DNA to get the ball forward and be direct, but they do need to get it into Hamilton and John. Try something different. At the moment, it's a little bit narrow as well. James is tucking in on the left-hand side. Edwards on the right-hand side, he's tucking in. There's not a lot of width.
Simonin out for Babouli, unable to connect. Mentioned it off the top, heading into this match, 4 in a row dropped by Toronto, but all 4 by 1 goal. They're at Orlando, scored late, and then conceded a couple minutes later in injury time to fall 2-1. 1-0 at home to Harrisburg, 1-0 at home to New York, and then obviously the difficult loss last week against Montreal. Despite the 4 losses in a row, this is really the first of the bunch that they have sort of had the wood taken to them.
A little bit. The turning point was the Orlando game. Mitch Tainer scored the USL goal of the week at 90 minutes. And then Skylar Thomas at 93 minutes gets turned, and that was the final nail in the coffin to end the playoff hope.
And that was in a game where they had points in 4 out of 5. A win, a draw, or excuse me, points in 3 out of 4, and that could have been 4 out of 5 and really, helped to propel their season a little bit, and they've just had no results since then. Ricardo John for Babouli. Babouli trying to dance through 2 defenders, gets a bit lucky there and gets the ball back for James. James will push forward. Brian James with a strike and a goal! Brian James has Toronto on the board with half an hour to play. Toronto down 2.
Great solo effort from James. This is what we were speaking about earlier on. Drive from the back 4. Make them make a decision. The back 4 kept dropping deeper. James thought, why not? I'll have a dig from here. And it's a sweet strike with his right foot into the top corner.
Second goal of the season for the rookie. And gives Toronto a little bit of life here.
Toronto FC 2 goal.
Let's see what that can do
by number 36, Brian
for the team's confidence moving forward as Ricardo John picks up that loose ball for Edwards. And he will slow things down to the back line for Hodge. Hodge with it again. Edwards. Sakurai. James. Sharpie pulls it down near side. Watched closely by Martinez. Simonin now for Sakurai. Sakurai dispossessed from behind there by Brown. And the counter comes from Charlotte with Martinez on the left side. Ekra. Osorio trying to play forward for Babuli. Babuli for Simonin. Simonin for James, out of his reach. And in the 2 minutes following the goal, looks like a little bit of an increase in energy from Toronto, Terry.
Yeah, both defensively as well. They're pressing a bit higher. They're trying to get their passes in. Here we see the rocket from James into the top corner. Why not shoot from there? Keeper gets nowhere near it. I like how he was really committed when he got that ball. He knew what he wanted to do with it. He drove it the back four and he made something happen.
Now the key is what Toronto can make happen next.
There's definitely enough firepower up front. You look at this team on paper, you'd think there's goals. John scored 2 last week. Hamilton scored 5 recently in the MLS and Canada Cup. Mo Babuli, very attacking player. He's done everything but score in his MLS appearances.
And the team leader in goals, Raheem Edwards.
Yeah, and the team leader in Raheem Edwards. You've also got Davis coming off the bench, the Jamaican. He's got goals in him. He scored last week. So yeah, the James goal does give you a glimmer of hope.
Sorio's going to take the throw in here.
I've been impressed with the young academy player coming in. I think he's been excellent, Sakurai. Just caught on it once there, but not hiding at all. He wants to get on the ball.
Simonin finds Sharpie. Sharpie trying to switch to his left foot. Back for Simonin. Simonin walks. His shot is blocked. Comes down for Hamilton. Hamilton does well to keep it there, and just not enough to keep it a second time, as the pressure from Estrada was a little bit too much.
Hamilton has to be selfish there. He's got the ball in the box. Charlotte can't tackle him. They know if they touch him, it's a penalty. Make something happen. Take somebody on. Whip a ball into the box. Don't just look to offload it. He's got fantastic soft feet for a big man. He's got more in the locker than that.
Hodge for Sharpie. Trying to spring John. And good job there from Alec Bartlett.
Bartlett does really well. This is his second appearance all season. Just gets a foot on it. You think John's going to beat him to it. If John gets his head to it before he gets that ball, he's either bringing him down for a penalty or he's through on goal.
It's going to be a substitute for Toronto as Simonin sees his workload double this week from 30 minutes last week to 60 minutes today. But as he continues from rehab, you've mentioned, Terry, they work them in slowly. And it will be Rocco Romeo, another product of the Toronto FC Academy team. Just 16 years of age.
Wow, I wonder what they're feeding them in the academy. Big boy. Good to see the academy players getting an opportunity. It shows that the system here at the Toronto franchise is working extremely well. TFC 2 players stepping up into the first team, and the academy and Div 1 players stepping up here.
And I think, obviously this is a predetermined length or time for Simonin to be subbed off, but it seems like he was just starting to find his legs a little bit here in the last 10 minutes. Thought he was a little flat in the first half.
Yeah, he forced things a little bit. He was trying to make things happen. At times he's too worried about looking pretty on the ball and getting on it rather than doing the ugly side of the game, defending. But yeah, definitely a better second half from him.
Takes a deflection off Hodge and out for Charlotte corner. So 3 substitutions used already by Jason Bent. Of course, he gets 5. used up all 5 last week with about 15 minutes to play and wasn't able to use one when Wesley Sharpie went down with a cramp in stoppage time. And Toronto ended up playing down a man as they were looking for a goal. Babouli and Estrada come together there. Estrada goes to ground, and it's out for a goal kick.
Another good set piece from Charlotte. Herrera's got fantastic delivery. TFC don't win the first one. Osorio just loses his man. Estrada pulls off his shoulder. Estrada really should do better there. Goes out for a goal kick.
It's a high boot there as Hodge went in with his head. And I think that was, is it Brown? Believe it's Brian Brown.
Brave header from Hodge. So far, he looks like a no-nonsense defender. He'll stick his head in when it hurts.
And that's a yellow card for Brian Brown.
Brown, the all-action number 9. He works so hard for his team defensively. He doesn't give you a second on the ball. It was actually his turnover on Simonin, which coincides with the 3rd goal.
Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive news and interactive content. And follow at USL on Twitter to keep up with all the live action during the 2016 USL season. Brown and Hodge both come to the near side as they were attended to. And will be instructed to return to action by the referee. Romeo. Hamilton gets ahead to it. John gets to it as well. Gets around his man, but good play from the keeper, Mizzle, to come off the line and snare it.
Yeah, Mizzle reads it extremely well. The first time all game we see the 2 center forwards link up with one another, they almost get in.
Good play from Hodge to get back and disrupt that pass in from Slogic. Here's Raheem Edwards. Knocked out by Slogic. Slogic has really been all over Raheem Edwards all afternoon, not giving him a lot of space to work with.
Both Slogic and Metcalf, the right back, have had an absolute field day because Edwards and James have been tucked in. Whenever they get the ball, they've got 30 yards of space to run into.
Here's Babouli for James. Will James have another go at it? Decides to dish off to Babouli. Babouli trying to find Ricardo John, but that meets the head of the tall center back Greenspan.
Good idea from Mobile. You can see it was good movement from John at the back post. You can almost overhit that ball.
Slogic. Herrera. Martinez. Bartlett. Slogic, Martinez, and Estrada, the goal scorers for Charlotte. Brian James responded for Toronto. Here's Brown. Good play there from Rocco Romeo to dispossess Brian Brown. Tries to push it up for Hamilton. He is being draped by Bartlett. Slogic there in support. Free kick to Toronto here.
Great
Edwards.
defending from Romeo, the big center half on Brown. Stands up on his feet. When he sees he can win it, he goes in and takes it off him.
You're going to see a trio of substitutions here for Charlotte. Lewis Hilton, coming in for Jan Ekra.
Ekra's had a very good game in midfield. He's kept it simple. I don't think he's given it away all day.
It will be Ali Hassan coming in for Brown. And Estrada being spelled by Ochoa. So Ekra, Brown, and Estrada are out for Charlotte. And coming in, Lewis Hilton, Ali Hassan, and Norberto Ochoa.
The coach just giving 3 of their bigger players a bit of a rest. They played on Wednesday night, so not too long ago at home to Cincinnati. All 3 of those players had very good games.
Substitution.
And they are next in action less than a week from now on Saturday when they'll host Pittsburgh.
Entering the match, number 14, Lewis Hilton. Secondary
There's
substitution
Babuli.
for Charlotte Independence. Exiting the match, number 9, Brian Brown.
Edwards tries to bring that down. John is able to get a foot to it. Edwards tries to curl it just around the bar.
Third substitution for Charlotte Independence. Exiting the match.
Nearly a breakthrough there for Toronto.
Estrada. Entering the match, number 24, Norberto Ochoa.
And if Toronto had been able to get one there, how does that change things still with 20 minutes to go?
Especially when you take off your 3 big players like this. Good play from Mo, gets it into the box. Edwards gets away from him there. He takes hits it, first time. Why not on the half turn? Just misses the far corner. Sometimes, Matt, you don't need to be too intricate. Just get that ball into the box. Things will happen, especially when you're playing with 2 strikers.
Hodge. James. Sakurai. Long ball trying to find Babuli. He's working against Metcalf. And Metcalf has to set this out for a Toronto throw.
Love that from young Sakurai. Wants to get on the ball, wants to make things happen. Picks it off of Sharpie, 1 touch out of his feet, and he pings a great diagonal for Mo Babuli to run onto. Leads to a deep TFC2 throw in the corner.
I think he's looked fantastic so far. There he is with it again. Picking out Sharpie on the near side. Pass just a little bit off. Ochoa was there to disrupt it.
I'd like to see Sharpie really commit there. If he beats him to the ball, he has to bring him down for a foul. Sakurai is almost like that safety valve in that holding midfielder. He screens it back 4, and then he's like that linchpin to get on the ball and just keep TFC, keep them ticking over in possession.
I should mention this is not his debut, as we see an opportunity for Herrera. Well defended by Toronto. Sakurai has played 1 match already with TFC2. Came on in the 77th minute, July 2nd at Wilmington. So yellow card here to Paul Close. 3rd yellow card of the afternoon for the Independents.
Good change of pace from Edwards to draw the foul. As soon as you bring someone down from behind in today's game, it's almost an automatic yellow card.
It's Romeo.
Yellow card issued in the
Sharpie.
73rd minute to Charlotte Independence's
Edwards.
5, Paul Close.
Edwards has 2 defenders on him.
You can see Edwards is a little bit frustrated there. He needs a target man, a focal point to play off when he gets that ball. Both John and Hamilton were caught on the left side of the pitch.
Ricardo John. That ball hops over the left foot of Sharpie. Edwards is there to run it down. Again for Sharpie. Sharpie looking to cross in. Doesn't get it all the way through.
Has to beat the near post, man. If it gets over there, John made a great run in behind him.
Here's Edwards. Edwards with a strike. Diving save to the left from Mizzle. Terry, you mentioned it at the time. The third goal, really not one that Toronto needed to concede given the shape they were in at the time. But it is such a valuable insurance marker at this point when you consider Toronto scored in, I believe, the 52nd or around the 60th minute maybe.
Yeah, they scored around the 52nd, 53rd. At 3-0, you think it's game over, and then Brian James scores a rocket from 25, 26 yards out. And you see him strike it like that, you think to yourself, why hasn't he done more of that all season? All of a sudden, they're back in the game. They've picked their tempo up, and the last thing they want to do is concede another goal.
Poor pass there from Romeo, collected by Hilton. And Hodge will get up and send this out for a corner.
Still, it's good to see Romeo try to play his way out of the back and not just hump the ball up the pitch. At this point, though, you don't want to take any chances. Charlotte have looked dangerous, Matt, on set pieces all day. It's important not only on that first header, that second ball.
The opening goal came off a corner as Herrera played it right onto Irwin, got a hand to it, and it came down right on the goal line and was punched in by Patrick Slogic. Less than 5 minutes into this game.
I think that's one Irwin would like back. If he could go back, I think he punches that away.
This comes all the way through for Martinez. No shooting lane, however. Will still carry it. Now looking across, chips forward, and it's headed over by Ali Hassan.
Good tight ball work from Estrada. Sharpie has to stay on his feet and move his feet quicker. You can't turn your back on it.
And we're going to see Sean Hundle now. Ricardo John, his second performance with TFC2. Not as impressive as his first when he had the brace last week against Montreal.
Entering the match, number 64.
And we'll see what Hundle can do now with Jordan Hamilton up front and the two of them playing together.
John, a little bit of a different role for him today. I think he looks better on his own and as a number 9 with players playing off of him and him bringing players into play. Him and Hamilton have played as individuals today rather than as a team up there. Both going forward and also defensively, they haven't pressed Charlotte well enough. Hundo, though, you know he'll always give you 100%. He'll give you a ton of energy. He's very mobile and dynamic for a center forward, and he's coming fresh off signing his first professional contract, as we touched on earlier.
It's the role he was a little bit more familiar with early in the season when he was coming off the bench.
I also think Hundo, he's better suited to play in a 2 as well. When you're a big target man like John, he needs somebody to play off him. And today, Hamilton, I don't want to say hasn't looked interested. He's also wanted to play extremely high. He hasn't been looking to get around and pick bits off of John.
Early in the season, we've seen him play in that role alongside Raheem Edwards. Today, it's Jordan Hamilton. It's another corner here for the Independents. Hodge is there to head it away. Tracked by Osorio, and Romeo gets a foot to it. Pushing forward there is Hilton, a little too aggressive. And Toronto wins the free kick.
Yeah, Hilton's not even looking at the ball, just looking where Edwards is. Definitely a foul.
Sakurai pushed down there by Hilton, and Hilton screams in frustration at being whistled for the foul there.
I'm not sure why he's losing his rag there. 100% it's a foul. It's good pressure from him, but Maletic, he's been schooled well in the academy. We'll take another look at it here. For any young midfielders watching this, you watch how Sakurai just puts his arm up here to hold him off, feel him. As soon as he feels that contact, he goes over. 100% of the time, he'll get the foul.
Here's Babuli. Hundo running through the middle. Babuli not able to control it.
Yeah, I like Hundle trying to run in behind there, but Mobley needs someone to play off of there.
Herrera finds Martinez. The offside flag is up.
Again, Charlotte looked very dangerous on the counter. Herrera drives at the back four there. Martinez can't be offside there. He's looking along the line. He just leaves a little bit too early.
Irwin motioning his defenders forward. Sharpie with a little bit of an aggressive move there, sending his man to the pitch.
I'd like to see a little bit more urgency from TFC2 when that ball goes back to Irwin. They know it's getting up the pitch. Squeeze the back four up so you can get that second ball. Sharpie, don't concede a needless foul there. At 3-1, I know that they haven't been at their best today by any means, but you're still in the game. You get another goal, it's game on.
Just over 10 to play. Toronto's had not grade A opportunities, but some decent chances for that second goal over the last 20 minutes since scoring their first.
I know the MO of this team, Matt, is to be young and let the team grow and try to get players into the first team. But when things aren't going well, sometimes it's difficult when your oldest player is 20, 21. Sometimes it would help if you had an experienced player out there. I know this allows the young players to try to problem solve.
Hundle works into the area, tries to cross, and again, just nobody in the area for Toronto.
Hundle does extremely well. Fair play to Charlotte. They collapse in the box very well. There's 5-6 players back.
Edwards. That's out for a goal kick. Little unlucky there as Edwards got the deflection and then it deflected off of him as well before going out.
Brilliant tenacity from him. Just sneaks in around behind. The Charlotte defender doesn't see him. A little bit unlucky. Ricochet goes out for a goal kick.
Ochoa trying to pick out Martinez. Irwin throws up the left side. James pushing forward for Hundle. Hundle is onside. Looking for some support now. Finds James. He has Sharpie out wide to the right. And instead tries to force it through for Babuli, and that's easily intercepted. Hodge disrupts that pass. Osorio. Romeo. Sharpie. So we head towards 90 minutes here, Terry, and clearly Irwin will play all 90. Despite, like we said, 6 goals conceded in, just over 3 halves. Where do you think TFC goes from here with their goalkeeping situation heading into Chicago?
Jason Bent won't like this, but it's probably better you get them out of your system here. For me, I think Bono couldn't have done anything else. I think he's reacted well to making 1 or 2 mistakes. He's been very solid. He's been a big reason why TFC have picked up so many points. But for me, I think Clint Irwin's, he's earned that right with his performances at the start of the season. I think Greg Vanney puts him back in.
You know, there's the old adage in sports that you don't lose your job because of an injury, and I think we'll certainly see that in this situation.
Full credit to Bono. He
Absolutely.
couldn't have done anything else. He really has been good, and his stock's gone up as well, don't get me wrong, if a team's maybe looking for number 1. I know I'm not saying that Vanney would ever look at getting rid of him, but his career's definitely progressed in this last couple of months. And Vanney knows he could be counted upon, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does stick with Bono.
Now, regardless, I imagine Irwin would at the very least be available as a reserve next week, which means that with those top 2 keepers healthy, 1 week from today, we have the final game at the Ontario Soccer Centre, and I wonder if we see Quillan Roberts, who has been, unfortunately, the odd man out as that long ball for Hundle, just a bit too long. And we've talked about Q a number of times that, you know, would be a risk to play him even in a USL match, because if he goes down to injury, then there's no backup to Bono. So he's been the victim of that in the last couple of months. And I wonder if with Irwin back ready for the first team, if we see Quillan Roberts play here next week.
Substitution for Toronto FC2 in the 84th
Malik Johnson will come on now, spelling Raheem Edwards
Number 48,
for the final 6 minutes plus added time.
In fairness to Edwards, he's worked hard tonight. He's given it his all. He's just really struggled to affect the game. Charlotte have done a good job defending him. I think he plays better in a 3 rather than out wide in a 4 or tucked in a 4 when he could get in those one-on-one situations.
And now we see a Charlotte player down on the pitch. Referee motioning for the trainer.
Just going back to the Quillan Roberts one, I feel for him a little bit, because after preseason, it looked like he was a number 2 to Clint Irwin. He had a couple of tough games in the USL. Bono sort of won that position back, and then when Irwin went down, there was a real battle on to see who was going to be the number 1, and I think Bono just edged him, and Vanny's been vindicted by his decision. I think he got it spot on. But Q's kind of been caught in no man's land a little bit. He's not been able to develop in the USL, and as you said, Matt, you can't risk him, and he's been on the bench and he's been ready, but he hasn't seen any minutes with the first team.
All USL matches are available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on the USL YouTube channel. It's the injured Charlotte player. Paul Close slowly makes his way
Substitution for Charlotte Independence
off the pitch, and there will be substitution.
Exiting the match.
It's going to be Austin Yearwood.
Close. Entering the match, number 13, Austin Yearwood.
Has a good 2.5, 3 minutes wasted there by the Independents.
It's tough mentally for TFC. This isn't one thing we haven't touched on just yet, is when the playoffs are out of the picture, is realistically, I know you're playing for your future and your contract, but that's massive. But when that's taken away from you, sometimes some of the players look like they've struggled to motivate themselves a little bit today, Matt.
Slogic on the near side. Romeo trying to leave it there for Sharpie. It's taken instead by Martinez. Martinez now just will try to carry it towards the flag. And this will be out for a Toronto throw.
I love the confidence from Romeo there, trying the back heel, but I'm sure Jason Ben after the game will say something. As a center half, you cannot do that. Even if it comes off, it's a risk. The upside isn't worth doing it.
Here's Ochoa. Metcalf. Greenspan. Slogic. Yearwood. Hilton. Played away by Hodge. Slogic. Hilton. Plays through for Hassan, and it's a goal, a fourth for Charlotte in the 88th minute, 4-1 for the Independents. First goal of the season for Ali Hassan.
Good through ball from Hilton. The center halves are too square. They're too far apart from one another. Hassan lets it run across his body, and he just dinks it over Irwin. Clever finish from him. The center halves need to be closer together there. Also, they can't be that flat. It's too easy. It's poor defending from TFC2.
Entering the match, number 21, Asa Christ.
Fifth substitution for Charlotte, Asa Christ. will come in for Martinez. If this score holds up, he will be credited with the winning goal. Johnson for Hodge.
I probably didn't do Hassan justice there. At the end of the move, it was a good finish from him, just to show the composure to dink it over Clint Irwin. But once Hilton picks that ball up in the middle of the park, if you're a defender, he has time on the ball. You have to drop. If you stand and ball watch or you're too high up the pitch, that's what happens. Charlotte get in way too easy. If you drop there and your center halves are closer to one another, that opportunity doesn't happen.
Herrera pushes forward, looking to pick out Christ. Didn't connect. Will be a throw to Toronto. As we approach 90 minutes. No indication yet from the fourth official of the added time, if any. Sharpie takes a deflection out for a corner.
I can see why Jason Bent changed the system around. It was to fit Hamilton coming into the side and also playing John. And he's asked his two wingers to tuck in a little bit in the four. He's trying to get width from his wide men, but his fullbacks. But his fullbacks are Sharpie and Rosario. Once it comes to them, they're not the type of player that's going to run past anyone.
Added time to the second half.
Babouli taking some instruction from the officials ahead of this corner kick. 3 minutes of added time. Babouli plays short for Johnson. Back for Babouli. Again, Johnson. Johnson lofts it forward. Romeo looking for the loose ball there, but it's snatched by Mizzle.
TFC2 created 2v1 there. It comes to Johnson. Johnson needs to really whip that ball into the box with conviction. Keep it away from the goalkeeper.
Hodge. Too far for James. Romeo. Sharpie. Comes to Slogic. Hilton. Ochoa. Hassan. Hassan. There's a strike and a goal from Ochoa. 5-1 Charlotte.
Great strike from Ochoa. Hardly any backlift from him whatsoever. Midfielders from TFC2 have stopped tracking their runners. Ochoa at the edge of the box get too much time on the ball here. You'll see it come to him here. Hardly any backlift, gets a ton of power, and it beats Clint Irwin to his right-hand side.
Charlotte Independence goal scored in the 90th minute by number 24, Norberto
Sakurai. Hodge. Romeo.
I feel for Sakurai and Romeo a little bit. Coming up from the academy, you don't want to be part of results like this, and you need the older players to sort of lead by example a little bit better. Positives though, Clint Irwin, he comes through 90 minutes. Simonin, I think this is the longest he's played in a couple of years. He comes through 60 minutes.
Mercifully, that's the final whistle. And it's a final Charlotte Independence 5, Toronto FC 2, 1. And for the Young Reds, they will probably just look to turn the page and look forward to next week against Orlando City B. It will be their final home match of the 2016 season, and I suspect we'll see another young lineup as Jason Bent looks to get an evaluation of his players moving in to 2017. It's a disappointing 5th consecutive loss for Toronto FC 2. 5-1 to the Charlotte Independents. For Chantel Blais, Terry Dunfield, and our entire production crew, I'm Matt DiNicolantonio. Thanks for joining us. Have an excellent Sunday evening and enjoy your long weekend.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.